say.
Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers.
Good morning.
It's a good time to get acquainted. It's a good time to know who is sitting right beside you and to smile and say hello.
Hello.
Goodbye, that lonesome feeling. Goodbye, glassy stare. Here's my hand. My name is blah, 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 blah. Put your hand right there. Yeah, that was pretty damn good.
Yeah, man. More. Say hello to my little friend.
You know, I promised Luke we'd have to sing, but we didn't pass out the thing, Frank, because we haven't been doing that since we, been doing it here. But it's just, 40 years you got to sing. That's just the way it is.
That would be cool. $20.
What we're going to do today is, well, at the end, you guys need to visit with Adam. He's down from the Freedom Ranch. We'll give him 5 minutes, which turns into 6 minutes. We'll go ahead and let him give an update and so on, kind of in the middle of the break or so. I want to get right to Luke first, because Luke Rudkowski, am I saying that right?
I don't care.
Whatever, I'm sure it goes. It's R-U-D-K, So Luke has been around I'm going to let him tell his story, but as a young teenager, 9/11 happens, and he had friends and questions and stuff and kind of what happened. I know these guys, and it went from there, and he just asking the questions and insisting on answers. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to come out of your house or your palace one day, right? Well, I'll be there with my camera. So he's been doing this for in the teen years, and he's built a name for himself, and it's been a brand based on any time he starts to expand, he's starting to expand again, and the crap happens. I mean, it's just, it always comes down, it's always one guy, Luke. And he's garnered respect from people all over the world. He's traveling a lot. He's got package deal in airlines, so he's just, he just flew in night before last from Rio, Sao Paulo. So he's in Brazil. He just needed to pick a language he didn't know. So he speaks Spanish and Polish. So he's like international. He's getting around some. So this is going to be a story about, I wanted you to understand the beginning of real journalism. Those of us that are a little bit older, remember, I've been watching a series done by Tom Hanks producing for CNN. It was a series, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and so on. And I'm in the 70s now, and I'm going, wow, there's a lot of similarities to what's going on now. And there's a lot of the similarities of how they crushed it. And it was always with public opinion controlled by the media. CIA got some anchors on the evening news. I mean, it's that bad. So when you have someone like Luke really going out and doing journalism, it convicts these reporters. Certainly when he's sitting in the bar at Bilderberger, what's up? Let's talk about it. So this has been an adventure for anyone that follows him. And I really encourage you to go on wearechange.org and subscribe. And all you get is you get the notices. You can donate, give him money. You can definitely use that. But you subscribe to these videos that he just recently went to Venezuela for a few days. It might have been longer, but it turned into how fast can we get out of here? Him and Jeff Berwick went there. Isn't that holy crap? So this is, we're going to send down Pat, and he's going to explain it to us. But the thing is that we want to have an opportunity to be there and talk to the people and get the real news behind. But there's a lot of sacrifices that you make. There's a lot of things, that they're coming, them, those, the ones that won't leave us alone. They're coming after him on every level, and he keeps fighting back. Fighter, Luke Rudkowski.
Good morning, beautiful, amazing human beings. It's great to be here. As Ernie has eloquently said, I've been in this movement for about 13 years, and my relationship with government has been fairly interesting, to say the least. Throughout my career, I've been through a lot. I've been detained dozens of times. I've been falsely arrested a number of times. I've been interrogated. I've been harassed. I've been physically beat up. I've been intimidated. My life has been threatened. Banned from countries. And I could just keep going on and on and on. The crescendo moment was when the Bilderberg group had me arrested after asking them what they were doing there, and arrested me for drugs, making that determination before even searching me and setting me up and putting me into jail in Copenhagen, out of all countries. But even with my experiences with the government going against real journalism, real news, it still shocks me how there's still so many people within the government that really dislike government. I also had a lot of moments, a lot of instances in my life that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. There's also a lot of bad experiences, but there's also a lot of ones that were really amazing, really good, and sometimes really, really awkward. This one time when I was filming a riot breaking off in Chicago, where literally there's thousands of protesters running amok, tearing down flags, climbing buildings, climbing flagpoles, causing property destruction. Police officers are running around everywhere, tackling people, arresting people, pepper spraying people, and in the midst of this, I'm of course right in the middle, filming all of this. And as I'm filming all of this, there's this one police officer on a bike who I see out of the corner of my eye, and he sees me and he pedals really fast towards my direction. And then he's right here, right in front of me, automatically making me step back just a little bit. He pulls up. We make eye contact. And in the middle of this riot, he's like, "Are you Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change? Because I think you're amazing and you're such a badass." And I'm like, at first I was like, wait, should I even confirm my name in this crazy situation? I'm like, I don't even know a Luke Rudkowski. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. But it was just such an awkward feeling. And then he wouldn't leave me alone. I'm trying to film, and he's like, "That time you got Ben Bernanke, I loved that. That was so amazing. You got to tell me how you snuck in there and got to him. Oh, Paul Volcker, that was so incredible." And those incidences keep reoccurring. In what else did it happen? Oh yeah, Occupy Wall Street. One of the biggest protests down there. Hundreds of protesters are making a rush for the New York Stock Exchange. Police officers are setting up barricades everywhere. The protesters finally moved around one of the barricades. Hundreds of people are running. There's another, squad of police officers, and they just hit the fence. And it's just a constant pushing back and forth between the police officers and Occupy Wall Street protesters who are trying to get into the New York Stock Exchange. Violent, crazy situation. People are being thrown everywhere. Of course, again, I'm in the middle, and I'm filming. And one of the cops who's holding the barrier, she's like, "I know you. I love what you did with Al Gore." Like, high five. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like around a whole bunch of crazy anarchists like who hate video cameras, who hate the media. And I'm like, this is not good in any way, shape, or form. Had another crazy incident where there's another big event in New York City at the end of a conference, and walking down the street, and then one of my friends is in an argument. This person won't pay their bar tab. The police have been called. And I'm literally just walking past this situation. And of course, a lot of cops are on an activist. Of course, first thing that happens is I take out, I'm like, I'm going to film this. But before I even get my video camera out, one of the officers who's trying to calm down this activist that I know, he's like, "Wait, I know you. We Are Change." And put me in this weird situation where it's like, wait, what do I do? And I'm trying to figure this out as my friend is being put in handcuffs, and I'm like, wait, hold on, let's just work this out here. And he keeps going on about all the past confrontations, about confronting Dick Cheney, about facing Kissinger and the Rothschilds, and I'm like, hold on one second, wait, my friend's being carried away, can we please work this situation out for a second? And of course they did. There was other incidences that just are pure out of movie scenes that still boggle my mind, where I meet different government agents who are not just police officers, who I hang out with, get to know on a personal level. I still remember one incident where, and again, I won't mention any details, where we were driving with this government agent, and he says, well, let's take a detour. I'm like, oh crap, what the hell is going to happen here now? And pull up in front of this empty field, and then he makes the gesture I'm like, I give my phone away, and I'm like, what the hell's going to happen? We start walking into this empty field, and he tells me the most insane things that our government has done to its own people, and how there's many people within the government that are awake and know this is happening, and leaked me a lot of insane information that I didn't believe at first. One of the biggest incidences that sticks out in my mind that I will remember for the rest of my life was when I was in Chile. Through a friend of a friend, I was actually introduced to the former U.S. Army intelligence officer who was in charge of U.S. Army intelligence. He was a retired gentleman in his 90s, an older man. Went to his house, got to know him, talked to him. And of course, you know, in these situations, I'm trying to play it cool, because this is the former head of U.S. Army intelligence.
Excuse me, for what years?
I don't want to mention too many details.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I gotta play it cool here. I gotta play it cool here. I gotta play it cool here. I can't just ask him for all the secrets and all the facts and all the classified information that he can't literally legally tell me. I'm like, let me just get to know him. Let me just get to know him. Let me play it cool. We end up somehow at this house party at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to be strategic here. I'm like, yeah, cheers. Cheers again. Keep drinking. Just keep drinking. But trying to get as much information as I can, because this is a huge opportunity. I mean, this is a man who was running programs that dealt with creating super soldiers, programs that dealt with using quantum physics, using meditation, using spirituality as a way to see if they could create a weapon out of it. So this is a person that I wanted to know everything from. So I was cheersing him as many times as I could to get him as drunk as I could. And finally, after we have a good rapport, and finally after he got to know me, and we became friends and we became close, we're finally isolated. We're finally alone. I'm like, this guy's going to be my Edward Snowden. This was even before Edward Snowden. I'm like, this guy's going to be my whistleblower. This guy's going to tell me everything. And I'm like, you have to tell me. You have to tell me everything you can't tell me right now. He's like, I'll tell you one thing. And looked me right in my eyes. And I was like, just tell me what I need to know. Tell me what I need to do to be a super soldier, to do my job as best as I can, to inform the American public. I know you know so much. Tell me the one thing that I need to know. And he sits there and he says, the biggest prison that we put ourselves in is the one within our mind. And I'm like, okay, but now tell me the classified information, please. Come on, I know there's a lot more. And I'm like, he just gave me an empty platitude. And I remember feeling kind of disappointed, down, like. And then the next day, it like hit me. Like, whoa, he's 100% right. The fact that our mind is unlimited potential, that we could do anything, that the only thing stopping us is our own mind, is, of course, a platitude, but of course, something that has stuck with me throughout my career, because ultimately, there's nothing stopping you from achieving anything you want in this world. So that has been a profound moment that has stuck with me for ever. And it's been something that's been very beautiful, and something that drives me and continues for me to reach for the impossible, and a lot of times the impossible is reached. And I think that's why I kind of wanted to focus this kind of talk on being free, being limitless in your potential, being able to accomplish anything you want at any moment and time. A lot of people say that, Luke, how do you do this? How do you do your job? Well, I'll explain it to you kind of in this talk that I'm going to give here today. A lot of people always say, like, how do you travel the world? How do you do all this? How did you get here? And the answer is pretty simple. The biggest prison that you have is within your own mind. I wanted to kind of interact with you guys too, so feel free to ask questions at any time and interrupt me. But I was also curious, is there kind of anyone here who has a job that they really dislike, or a boss that they really dislike? Feel free to just like raise your hand. Or if you're all free, sovereign individuals and beautiful, free people. You're right there.
At times, Luke, it's a pretty good job, but at times. So.
Are you happy with your boss?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very rare.
But you have to get up early.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I got a great boss. Best boss I've ever had my whole freaking life. But the wages suck. Once in a while, the working conditions just absolutely suck. So, no, I'm not happy. But that's the life the way it goes.
Anybody else? A lot of people always say they want to travel the world and be totally free. But that could all be easily done. But a lot of times, society kind of, even from earlier on, brings us in this rat race, brings us in this trap. Whether it's, going to school and being indoctrinated to follow orders and to stay in line and to not ask questions but to become repeaters. And then after school and after going through that competitive, youthful upbringing where you're taught not to question anything but just to follow orders, you're told to have the best grades to go to college, and then you go to college, and then you go to debt, and then you're indoctrinated even more, and then you leave college with a bunch of debt, and then people are stuck to work a job that they have to do because they have debt that they have to pay for the rest of their lives, and they only get 2 weeks vacation out of the whole entire year, and they're living this cycle of this life of saying, just later I'm going to be free, just later I'm going to be able to do what I want, just later I'm going to be able to have a real existence and a real life, and they're stuck in this circle until they retire, and then when they retire, they're older and they can't travel and they can't do the amazing things in this world, and then they die, and their existence and their life and their soul is zapped out of them by this system that has been created to pretty much make batteries out of us. That's pretty much what the system is. It's pretty much using you, plugging you into their system so you could benefit the most corrupt, the most inept, the most horrible human beings in this world that perpetrate a lot of these problems, whether it's the government or the corporations. This is all a planned system that so many people are involved in that they don't even understand. And there's a way to break out of that. And it's pretty simple. Now, of course, people, here say that they like their boss, but I was going to give you guys the steps of how to actually do this, of how to actually do what I do and be able to travel all over the world and be totally free and not have to work for anybody else's dream, but create your own dream. To me, everyone has a gift within themselves. Everyone has a light within themselves. And whenever you don't go after your goals, whenever you don't harness that light, use that light for what you really want to do, I believe that people are committing spiritual suicide every day by not doing that. And to me, my life has been about being totally free, being totally centered towards my goals, towards my accomplishments, and I've only been able to do that because of the lessons that I learned. Because if you want anything in life, there's nothing stopping you from accomplishing it no matter what. I was going to give a demonstration if someone really disliked their boss, or was able to have someone stand here and tell them the first step to following your dreams and following your true purpose in life is to look your boss in the face and then curse him out. But everyone here likes their boss.
No,
so
I don't like my boss. I don't like my boss. I'll interact with you here.
Okay.
No, so my boss is my grandmother because I take care of her. And so it's really hard to look her in the face and say, go to hell. So how...
Grandmothers are a little bit
how would you go
difficult.
about that?
I wouldn't disrespect your grandmother in any way, shape, or form. Never disrespect family members. But when it comes to bosses, a lot of people in the general public obviously despise their bosses. If there was a person like this here, I would have had them come up here and told them what to do.
Why do you say don't disrespect family members? I got family members you wouldn't want to respect.
Okay, good point, actually.
Whole nother talk.
Whole nother talk and a whole nother topic, but it's best. I'm going to get into this later on, and it's called social currency, which is the most kind of important currency when it comes to doing the work that I do. And it's good to, even if you disagree with somebody, to always be as friendly and as open and as convincing as you can, because there's different ways of going about things in life. And if you are hard-headed, if you do kind of just want to kind of prove your point a lot of the times, you end up shooting yourself in the foot. I don't understand your situation, but I could give you an example with my family, who at first was very shocked to learn that I'm trying to get the truth behind 9/11. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was insane. My parents were like, what the hell are you doing with your life? You're supposed to be a lawyer. You're supposed to be a doctor. We came and immigrated from communist Poland, a country that completely controlled all of our lives, that made life miserable for everyone. We came here to this free country, and you're saying that there's questions about 9/11. What the hell's wrong with you? With my family in that situation, it could be extremely emotional. It's really interesting because people distrust their family more than they distrust random people in the streets. So understanding that fact and understanding psychology as well, I decided to take a step back, give it a few months, and then I came to them with a DVD, Loose Change. And I said, Mom, Dad, I saw this film. I don't know what to think about it. I'm still young. I'm still impressionable. I could be very easily manipulated, but since you're older, since you're smarter, since you're wiser, I really would love for you to see this and let me know what I should think about this. I really would appreciate this very much if you just, did this with me to help me understand this big, grand event. And they did. And then they came to me and then they were telling me about Larry Silverstein and Building 7, and they were totally convinced and their minds were blown, and they were like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is an amazing documentary. And then I told them to keep playing play and to watch the credits, and then they saw my name in the credits months later. And they now are fully on my side. I have a great relationship with them, and now my mom's coming to me with all these vitamins and herbs and holistic remedies to prevent cancer, to prevent all these diseases, and now we're a cohesive group. But it comes from that kind of point of view. But back to my main topic about just being totally free, being able to travel the world, being fully independent. Number one, the first step would be, if you do have a horrible boss, if you are stuck in that cycle, my first step would have been to walk up to your boss, curse him out, and make sure you are fired. Fired for a very specific reason, because you have to fully believe in this, and if you do fully believe in this, and you do fully commit yourself to being totally free, to having your own business, to being able to travel the world, you have to fully believe in this, and any kind of doubt takes all of that away from you. And doubt is the ultimate killer. Now, after you just pissed off your boss and you don't have a job, a lot of people will, of course, worry about, money. And how can I, finance all of this? Well, it's, pretty simple. You downsize your life. You make your life a little bit simpler. You get rid of some of the things that you don't need in life. You become modest. You work out a way and you work out a system. There's different people who do different things. There's different people who get fired because they get unemployment. There's people who, even go online and create fake college ID cards because they could get into places for half off. There's so many different ways that you could work all this out, but you could ultimately work, travel the world, and be totally free. And if you don't have your kind of business ideas, there's great websites like Upwork.com that help you find work while you're traveling, that you could easily do when you're on the road. A lot of people also complain, like, okay, what would I do without my apartment? Well, it's very simple. You Airbnb your apartment. You sublet it. You make sure that when you sign a lease to your apartment, you have an agreement in there that lets you sublet it, you Airbnb it, and you get double the rent for it. I know individuals that rented their own apartment, leased a second apartment, a third apartment, a fourth apartment. I know an individual that has 15 apartments that he's Airbnb-ing right now. And because of that, his income has went up 10 times. And all he does is sublet his apartments, 10 of them, and then he travels the world totally free.
In the same apartment complex or
Different ones all over the place. He makes, and of course, it's very important to always be honest and upfront with the landowner and let him know that you do plan to sublease and to sign that in your contracts and not to be dishonest about it in any way. I remember there's this individual in Brooklyn who took a 3-bedroom apartment and made it into a 20-bedroom apartment by putting up drywall everywhere. Don't do that. But there's ethical ways, if you really commit yourself to it, that you could easily do this. There's systems and ways that many people don't see that are right in front of them that could give you the best possible life that you could ever have. If you have a car and you want to travel the world, you rent your car. There's a great website called Turo, where you literally could rent your car when you're away. You could rent your apartment, and you can make enough money to travel the freaking world and to do whatever you want. Another important aspect of being totally free and being able to travel anywhere is freaking flyer miles. You know, here in the United States, you could take advantage of this system. And of course, I don't agree with the credit card system in any way, shape, or form. It's a horrible, slave-inducing system. But as long as you keep track of your accounting, as long as you keep track of your records, you'll be totally fine. As long as you always pay the amount that you bought things for, you're totally fine. And then you get a bunch of freaking flyer miles. You could run your independent business through all your freaking flyer mile credit cards. You build up a crap ton of freaking flyer miles. Your travel's free. You got all this extra cash. You could go stay at a hostel for $5 to $10 anywhere in the world. And you could really have these incredible, amazing experiences for ultimately doing nothing. Add that on top of having your own business, working on the side, you'll be doing well in no time, and you won't be stuck in that kind of cycle, that evil, vicious cycle in society that zaps out our energy away from us. There's a great website called thepointsguy.com that is really great with understanding frequent flyer miles, understanding the deals that different credit cards have, and being able to take advantage of that system as much as you can. You could even rent your parking space. There's a website called Park Circa, where if you have a parking space, you could rent your parking space and then get money for that. You could lease cars and have other people rent your car from you and drive Ubers. The same guy that I know that has 15 apartments on Airbnb, he also has 3 different cars that he leases. He gives them out to Uber drivers. They rent it for him. They pay him a fee every week. And now he has his own personal black car that picks him up everywhere. And he doesn't have to do anything because he has set up this system, building it up slowly in a way that gives him the ultimate freedom to do what he wants. But there's different ways, and there's so many avenues that you could go on. And I've implemented this system. There's so many hacks of life that you could implement in your life and ultimately be able to follow your purpose.
Have you published your own ebook?
No, not yet. I'm a horrible writer. Even if, throughout my career, it's been up and down financially. Sometimes I had very little money. Sometimes I had just enough to survive. When it was rough, there's always a way. There's always an answer. If you're hungry, you could literally walk into the Sheraton. They all have an exclusive guest club. You could easily find out the code many different ways. You could call from the reception, calling or calling from one of the phones in the hallway, and say you're in this room and you forgot the access code to the private area, and you could literally go in there and drink as much as you want, and you could eat as much as you want for free.
Great idea.
And who cares? Again, it depends on how far you want to take it. Sure, you don't like Romney, I don't like Romney, but it's about being wise and intelligent with the resources that you have. A lot of airlines also have these executive suites, these kind of private club areas that people pay hundreds of dollars to be in when they wait for their flights. These kind of VIP areas. Not many people know this, but a lot of these VIP areas, when you do sign up for a $500 or $1,000 yearly membership to these private executive suites, you, as a paid member of this, are able to have a guest come in. So literally, when I'm traveling around the airports, I wait in front of the door of these executive suites, and I say, hey, how you doing? I have a long layover. I'm thinking about signing up here. Would you mind taking me in as a guest to see how it is? Everywhere I go, every airport, and I'm in the VIP exclusive areas. I'm like hanging out, drinking whatever I want to drink, eating whatever I want to drink. I could take showers, I could relax, I could go to sleep. Some of them even have beds that you could stay a night in, which even saves you more money reciprocally continuing on. And because of these open platforms, and because of these systems, and because of all these reward cards and all these referral codes, if you really start using them, you are totally free. You are totally able to do whatever you want, go wherever you please, and have a life and an existence that is really beautiful. Literally. Go ahead.
Let's go back to a different question when you mentioned being in the middle of those riots with the cops giving you insights that they were supposedly shell-shocked at. Why aren't they doing something from within to collapse this damn thing instead of controlling it?
Let's get into that in a
let's
little bit.
wait till the end.
Okay.
Taking totally off track.
Yeah, I'll be taking Q&As.
Okay.
But just so you guys know, I've set up a system, and I'll get into that later. I've set up this system where literally I could now leave and I could go anywhere in the world. Usually because of the rewards membership clubs and signing up for all these different things, usually it's first class, for free. I get to hang out in the VIP areas. I go to a place anywhere in the world, send one message on Facebook, and there's a bunch of locals hanging out with me, and I'm able to do what I want, fully and freely, because I really wanted it, because I really went after it.
Isn't that because the reason for doing all this is because you have a purpose. Your purpose is to expose the corruption and whatever, right? To just be a hobo is not that great a life, just to travel but do not have a purpose. You got to have some driving responsibility or desire to do something.
Of course, you always do, but you have to ask yourself the question, if you're going to be a consumer or producer in this world, and usually you have to, when you make that determination, you have to either go on survival or values, either one of those things. But if you're strictly doing things for survival, you're animalistic, you're primitive. But if you're following your values and you're motivated by that, there is nothing that could stop the true potential of doing anything. And usually people who are stuck in that 9-to-5 job who only have 2 weeks of vacation, usually those are the ones who are doing it for survival, the ones doing it out of fear.
Right.
But once you really start traveling the world, you really start to develop a love for this world, a love for this life, a passion for this life that will drive you. Now, of course, going through all this, you could not have a purpose, but I highly doubt that would ever happen because you naturally fall into that purpose once you are fully free and able to explore, able to learn, able to go to different places and experience the things that you would never experience in one particular place. I think it's naturally genetically within us to go out there and to travel and to explore and to discover things. And I think once you're on the path of doing that, naturally, your true purpose, your true cause will come out because of that. Having a mission, having a goal, this is only a way to facilitate those goals, a way to facilitate those missions, because everyone says, only if I had more time, only if I had more money, only if I just had, just the right door open for me. No one is ever going to do that for you except you yourself, getting out of that mental prism that I was talking about earlier and setting your true potential to do anything in this world. Which brings me back to kind of like the bigger aspect of this, because what I've learned throughout doing all this is that, of course, financial capital is important in some ways, but the most important capital is social capital, is the capital that you have with your friends, with your family, with the people you meet, and how you treat them, because ultimately it's all going to be reciprocal within your life. And if it wasn't for social currency, if it wasn't for people saying, hey, you should Airbnb your apartment, or hey, you should do this, or you should do this, or me listening and learning, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for generous people who do help facilitate this progress. And because of this, I've been, on a mission. My mission is to pretty much ultimately destroy and to humiliate the mainstream media. I want to get rid of them. I want to make sure that our news organization does a job that will ultimately disgrace them into non-existence by doing their job a lot better. We could sit back and we could complain.
Yeah, right on.
Like, we could sit back and complain and moan, oh, they didn't do this or they did this, or you could actually do it and make them irrelevant by doing their job better. And that has always been my philosophy. And I implemented these techniques to kind of offset the price of doing the things that I'm doing, which is virtually free now. And I'm able to go to riots in Greece. I'm able to go to, the Fukushima in the no-go zone. I'm able to go to different conferences. I'm able to come here for free because of these facilitated kind of hacks and tricks that I've learned all throughout the way, and I still implement all of them. Like, if I'm still walking past the Sheraton and I'm a little hungry, I'm gonna go into one of the staircases, call the lobby, and tell them I forgot my access code to the executive suite lounge, and they're gonna give it to me, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna save extra money, and any other money that comes to me, I'm now using as a way to build up my team, as a way to hire other individuals so they could also have a life that is not the 9-to-5 trap, so they could do what they want, have a purpose, have a mission, and be able to fully express themselves freely without a boss telling them what to do, and be able to fight the good fight joining We Are Change. So right now we have, we added a bunch of people on the We Are Change team. We're expanding right now. In many different levels, whether it's authors, mood makers, video editors, interns, social media editors. We're expanding in many different ways, and I'm still living as frugal as I can, still, going into those executive airport suites and sometimes spending the night there, because to me, the purpose and the mission is more important than anything else. And that's what I dedicated my life to, that's what I believe in, and there's nothing that will ever stop me from reaching and achieving those goals. I already, have, an incredible life, an amazing life. There's a lot of up and downs, there's a lot of government agents, sure, there's a lot of risks, but I'm looking back at everything that I'm doing, and it's a life that is like a dream.
Tell them how many subscribers and views you have.
That doesn't matter. That's
yes, it does.
What matters most is understanding that, one day your life will flash before your eyes. One day we won't have this physical existence that we have now. And you're going to look back on your life and you won't be able to take back the items in your house or the Porsche or the gold rings or the jewelry. You won't be able to take that with you. The only thing you do take with you is what you did, what you accomplished, your mission, your purpose, your life, and how you lived it. You could have regrets, or you could have a fulfilled life. It's your choice. And if I can help you facilitate that, I'll be more than happy to help you in any way. But go ahead.
I wouldn't print your tips because then they'll get hip and they'll close it out. And this is a word of mouth thing that you've got to do.
Oh, it's not a secret.
Yeah, well, it's not a secret. If they do close off one avenue, there'll be another avenue that's going to open up. There's one thing I learned, especially after infiltrating events, after going to places that I shouldn't have been in, after confronting all these powerful people, is that there's never any 100% security. There's layers of security, but there's always a way past all of that security, no matter how guarded, how controlled. There will never be 100% security. And also, there will never be security in your life. If you really want security and safety, You could lock yourself up in solitary confinement, and you'll be in the safest place you could be. Or you could, live a life, accept a risk, accept all the bad things and fearful things that will happen to you. But ultimately, when you do face those bad things in life, you could either face them by doing what you love and learning from them, or you could face them and continue building up somebody else's dream and living in that horrendous cycle that zaps all the life out of you and all the freedom out of you, so you won't be able to do what you actually were meant to do in this world. So yeah, that's it. We can open up to Q&As and talk to you guys a little bit more.
Luke, I was wondering, do you watch TV?
When I'm home, I watch the news like a watchdog. Yeah, I have to. Mainly because running a news organization, you have to be on top of the news. So I'm always on Twitter. When I'm home, I have to watch the corporate mainstream media to see that the propaganda that they're pushing against us in order to combat it. So sadly, yes, I'm inundated with a lot of TV. But if I wasn't on this mission, if I wasn't on this purpose, I wouldn't be watching it at all. There's no point to it. But yeah, you also had a question about the police officers. What was your question in short?
Why aren't they doing anything? If they already understand the corruption that they're dealing with, why aren't they exposing it and collapsing it from within?
That's a great question. Obviously, I can't speak for individuals. Obviously, I can't speak for the entire system. There are things happening behind the scenes that we don't see, that we don't understand. To me, it's just a good sign that there are actual conscious people out there who are informed, who are knowledgeable, who are within the system. You got to understand, the system has a lot of intertwined webs. They have a lot of systems of control, a lot of systems of just pure and utter censorship, and it's a closed-off system. And I think that's why I kind of wanted to give this talk on how you should you curse your boss off and do what you love, because I think that would be ultimately moving away from that system would be also a solution.
I guess I should also preface that when Occupy Dunn Street came to Phoenix, I had a chance to talk to at least two of their activists, and one of them was fronting as a server at a Denny's off Thomas and I-17, and she openly confessed that her boyfriend got a little too close to the tear gas and was fired into the crowd, and 2 weeks later both she and the boyfriend were airdropping over Australia to avoid an FBI investigation.
I'm confused.
So,
yeah.
To know the inside doesn't necessarily give them the moral courage to do anything about the inside.
That's true. I don't depend on anyone to do anything for us. I know as an individual you're in charge of yourself and your life only, and you have to take the proper actions and the proper responsibility for yourself. You can't depend on government, obviously. Even the good people within government, you can't depend on them as well. You only have yourself. And the most important power that you have within yourself is the power of reaction, how you choose how the things will affect you and how you choose to live your life. And I think living your life independently, living your life free outside of the corporate government control system is the best way to do it, and slowly move away from them instead of empowering them, even fighting them directly, moving away from them, creating solutions, creating a life that is independent for you.
I believe that in most countries of the world, except for America, Canada, and Israel, that usually about 60 to 90% of the people believe that 9/11 was an inside job. I'd like your comment on that. And the second question is, excuse me, the recent revelations on 60 Minutes and other news outlets about the Saudis possibly having some part in 9/11. Do you think that that is going to have any effect on America's perception of 9/11 as an inside job?
Let me go off the Saudi Arabia question, because I do think, personally, from looking at all the evidence, that that is sort of a psyop. and it's more geopolitical posturing with more deals being made behind the scenes. Saudi Arabia and the United States, their relationship is irrelevant when it comes to the grander geopolitical landscape, since oil is being independently produced by the United States. Therefore, Saudi Arabia doesn't need to sell oil on the dollar market. Now, with China and Russia making moves against the petrodollar, China is the largest consumer of oil. Saudi Arabia wants to sell oil to China. China is saying, we're not going to take the petrodollar, we're going to take a new gold-backed yuan that can't be traded or sold for dollars. So I think that is the real reason why the United States, especially 60 Minutes, especially when you have these other neoconservatives calling for the push of the release of the 28 pages, you have to wonder, why are the neocons calling for the release of the 28 pages?
Right.
Obviously, it portrays, one small aspect of it, but I think it's also being used as a threat against Saudi Arabia because of bigger geopolitical issues that we don't understand. And then also to your first question, when you do travel the world, you do understand that all of us are pretty much, the same. We all want the same things in life. Some of us are just, majority of us are just stuck in this cycle. And when you do talk to people about the bigger geopolitical landscape when it comes to 9/11, of course, virtually everyone I meet around the world is like, oh yeah, Bush did it. Yeah, we know. Everywhere, internationally. And it's amazing. You had a question?
Basically, that was my question.
Okay.
If there's any new updates on 9/11, any new exposures that we may not have heard about?
Not that I know of, not that I have seen. I've been following the case very extensively from the very beginning.
I know Corbett had a pretty good one on Follow the Money a while back, where he goes into the extensive inside trading that was done and nothing was followed.
Well, I think the biggest kind of information that's coming out right now behind 9/11 is of exactly how many people will die because of it, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, because of it, because not many people know, but the buildings were filled with 400 tons of asbestos. It only takes one nanoparticle of asbestos to create asbestosis, to create mesothelioma, to create lung cancer. And you have to understand, with the government coming out right after 9/11, telling everyone the air was safe to breathe, not to use any respirators, not to use any masks, that dust cloud affected hundreds of thousands of people, myself included, who lived in that dust, who, was inundated with it. It was covered all over my neighborhood, and I was living in it for days, weeks, months afterwards. The smell from 9/11, being directly in the path of the dust cloud, it's a smell and it's an experience that can't be described in words. Utterly the most awful smell that you would ever go through in your life. And that dust, that asbestos.
What? Go ahead, Morpheus.
Yeah, thank you, Luke, for your talk. It's great to hear about other people that do the same thing. You live like a millionaire, you just don't have the Ferrari yet. And I feel like I'm one of those people, because I haven't had a job in 2 years, but because of Bitcoin. But my question is what do you think of the mainstream media outing this Craig Allen guy from Australia as being Satoshi Nakamoto? What do you think is his backstory? Because, at least in my opinion, clearly he's not.
I haven't done extensive research on that topic.
Okay.
I don't think the media gets it right a lot of the times, and I don't think they got it right on this time, to be honest with you. But I would need to do a lot more research on the guy, and I haven't done that yet.
Could you tell the audience a little bit about your Change Media University?
Oh, yeah. Because of this mission and because of this purpose I've learned the importance of educating, motivating, and activating young people. So I started a full online college teaching people how to sneak into events, how to confront politicians, how to get their own press credentials, how to pretty much just be a journalist in this day and age on a full online program. I give it for free for high school students, and I pretty much teach people from A to Z, from marketing to branding to business structure to conducting interviews to being in riots, how to do everything that I do from a one-on-one step basis. And that's pretty much Change Media University that we've been using for about a year, and it's been having huge effects, and a lot of young people are signing up, and it's always amazing to see, all the press credentials that they have, that they made at Kinko's, and hearing their stories, hearing their encounters of being journalists in today's new day and age.
Okay, so I have a bit of a question. So you said your end game is that you want to basically destroy mainstream media, and that started through 9/11 for you, right? That's what started it for you, was 9/11. But the truth coming out about 9/11 and all that, I lost my train of thought. I think it would be different for other people. Your main thing, your purpose is that you want to just destroy mainstream media, right?
I just think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, to me, all of the problems that we're facing in this world, all of the adversities, all of the corruption is mainly solely because of the mainstream media. If it wasn't for the mainstream media lying to us about the war in Iraq or the banker bailouts or just everything that's happening in this life, these criminals wouldn't be able to get away with any of this. And it's only because of the mainstream media that they're able to get away with all this. Personally, it has an effect on me, mainly because being in New York on 9/11, that dust cloud hitting me, the asbestos affecting me, it's going to significantly shorten down my life. So I know, life is short. It's a little bit shorter because of what I went through. And because of that, I'm pissed off. I'm fired up. And I want to make sure that never happens to anyone ever again. And I think you can do that by being a real journalist, by being the media.
I want to make sure that you get into. So a lot of these people, look at them. They never even heard of you. They're over 30. But the impact that We Are Change has had. I remember. Right.
Who's over 30, Ernie?
I remember when We Are Change really started inspiring a lot of people. There were We Are Change chapters all over the country. There were people here in Phoenix doing stuff. They were inspired by what he has done. I'm really glad that he said it doesn't matter how many views or subscriptions I kind of have the same attitude. But just to give you an idea, tens of millions of people have seen his videos. He has tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of subscribers. When he puts a video up, boom, it goes everywhere. Mostly the FBI. But that's to your point, that's why you have police officers coming up going, yeah, I see this every day, and he's showing people what's really happening, and I can't tell people. He can. So they're encouraging him. You're
predictable, Ernie. He's not.
This is a root of a grapevine that is having much more fruit bear than I think people realize. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going to ask him to tell a story. So this is just one of gazillions, okay? And how he operates and what he's capable of doing. You got to tell him the Bilderberger story.
Well, there's a bunch of them.
This last one.
There's not just this one Bilderberg story, but there's always a bunch of them. A lot of, crazy, insane moments always happen when you do decide you're on a true purpose, and you could get away with anything, and you could do virtually the impossible. And one of them is sneaking into the Bilderberg group and being the only journalist there when it was on total lockdown, which has never ever happened before. And it happens because of sometimes pure will, sometimes pure determination, but a lot of times because you just decided to do so and you have pure luck on your side. But yeah, 2 years ago they had me arrested and set up for drug charges that I never had on me because I asked the steering committee in the lobby of the Bilderberg Hotel before they shut it down what they were doing, what was the plan, and they physically manhandled me. I got away, but my friend Dan Dix didn't get away. They grabbed him, decided to stay with him. Cops came. They just automatically came and said, we're going to charge you for drugs, and they put me in jail. So after going through something like that, normally a person would be like, I'm just going to not try to push my luck with it. But me and Dan Dix of Press for Truth and Jeff Burderick of the Dollar Vigilante, we're like, yeah, let's press our luck. And last year we went to Bilderberg. We just came from the G7. We had G7 press credentials that we also just randomly got by just showing up there and showing off our own credentials. So I was able to even get Jeff Burderick a press credential. So with the new G7 press credentials, we went up to the Bilderberg Hotel, went through a security check, acted like we didn't know what was happening, walked right in there, came into the hotel. It was a complete lockdown except for the White House press corps, which was staying there to cover the G7 in Germany. And that was the hotel that they were using. The hotel was on lockdown, and they were only allowing White House press corps journalists and Secret Service and security to be in that building. So I think they made a mistake, and they thought we were with the White House press corps. They let us in. We said we wanted to extend our stay, and somehow they gave us a room, and it's just us and the White House press corps staying at this huge mansion on top of a mountain, just a day and a half right before the Bilderberg group meeting actually starts. That night we hung out with all of the, I don't want to call them prostitutes or the horse trade media, but they were nice people. We hung out with literally the top anchors of the U.S. media establishment. We were in the cigar lounge with all of them.
Did they recognize you, or they didn't?
No. We were just fellow journalists. And all the top anchors, ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, all of them, sitting in this cigar room with me, Dan Dix, and crazy Jeff Berwick, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey. And
What town was this in?
This was in Austria. I forgot the exact city of the Bilderberg location last year, somewhere in Austria.
Okay.
And the conversations we had were mind-blowing.
Such as?
Cameras were on.
We got into everything. We got into all the corruption. We got into all the lies. We got into all the media manipulation. We got into how mainstream media is an outright farce and just PR for the ruling establishment.
And the journalists with them were agreeing with that?
And the journalists were like, at the end of the night, they were like, holy cow. Yeah, you're right. I literally just read a script. I just get paid to read what they tell me to say.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right, and you guys are the real journalists. And then Jeff got really drunk and tried to fight some of them. It was really interesting. A wild night. But we were there, inside, on total, complete lockdown. The only people that were there were all these security guards and Secret Service agents and just the staff that were all miserable, and everyone was just wandering around. And then we decided to take a walk, and we're like, yeah, we're journalists. We got questioned a bunch of times. We were the only people in there. White House press corps left early in the morning, and we just decided to stay around and to document everything we saw inside. They caught wind because we actually were able to be inside of the main Bilderberg meeting conference, where they have the tables, where they have the huge screens, where they actually conduct the conference. And as soon as we were right next to that door, which led to everything that they had planned and set ready, that's when they grabbed us, interrogated us, took our passports away. And I remember sitting in the lobby with all these security guards running around, scratching their heads. And they're all speaking very angry Deutsch. Looking at me, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What the hell is going to happen? They had me arrested last year. And then there in the back room, I hear my own voice, and they're watching me confronting Henry Kissinger on being a part of the Bilderberg group, and I just hear all the security guards being like, "Scheiße, Scheiße, Scheiße!" I'm like, "Ah, crap, it's up. I'm gone." Oh man. Then they escorted us out, and luckily didn't arrest us and set us up. But it was a surreal experience, to say the least. I remember the main guy who caught us and kicked us out. At first they were being very diplomatic to us because they thought we were the White House press corps, and they're like, no, you can't be here, no. They told us, just leave now. We're like, no, we have a room booked here, we're staying here. I don't know what the problem is. They're like, we'll pay for everything, please leave. And we're like, everything? So I literally just opened up my suitcase and took everything that I could, and mini bar was raided fully, towels, slippers, everything I could
At
find.
Porkfest, he was selling and giving stuff out of the back of his car that he got from the hotel.
And this was like official, like Bilderberg, like membership, like prestige crap that we later gave out on our sponsor lounge on our website with the people who keep sustaining our operation. We usually give out giveaways. Hey, who wants the bathrobe of the Bilderbergers this year? Email me first, and the sponsor who emails me first, gets it mailed out to them. But yeah, I like doing stuff like that. It's really interesting, and we took everything we could from that room. And then they escorted us out, and the main kind of security guard who was running the entire Bilderberg operation saw us at the end of Bilderberg at the airport. We were sneaking around at the airport, and it was very interesting because, in Europe, people are very more, especially within Germany and Austria, they're very kind of polite, and they don't try to be rude.
Germany? Polite?
Southern Bavarian Germany are usually more polite. So like all the other journalists are there, and then they're just filming these Bilderbergers walking from their cars, from their limousines into the airport, and they're just filming them. And I'm like, why isn't anyone even asking these guys any questions or hounding them? So I just started, going up there. Hey, what'd you do at the Bilderberg meeting? Tell us all your secrets. Tell us everything that's happening here. And then the second car pulls up. A second guy starts doing it with me. And then the third guy. And the fourth guy. And then literally it's a mob of like 50 journalists like hounding these guys, screaming at them, what'd you do here? We know what you did. You won't have a new world order. Just going completely crazy. But it always takes like one person to take that risk. One person to kind of push those boundaries, and then kind of everyone, when they see it's safe, kind of follows. Because again, Bilderberg is a total police state lockdown of an entire city where they arrest people, they spy on people. They had police officers show up to our hotel and take all of the databases and all of the private information, credit card information, emergency contact information from everyone. It's a very intense police state operation, so everyone's always very careful. But you could always, push it just a little bit, as long as you're not breaking any laws. But yeah.
Well, didn't the same guy see you?
Yeah. The same guy saw us. I forgot the point. The same guy saw us at the airport. I'm like coming around because we saw, I think one of the Goldman Sachs guys. We're like, we got to get him. I come around. Dan Dix went straight. He sees Dan Dix, and this guy just has a conniption. He just freaks out. He's like, you again? Oh, you shithole! Like, you asshole! He just freaks out on camera, curses out Dan Dix, obviously giving us the wiggle room, but he obviously got his butt chewed out for failing at his job at security, and it was really, really pissed at us at the end of Bilderberg because we bypassed all of their security measures. I think you had a hand up? Okay.
Luke, we've bumped into each other over the last 10 years at different events. Cool to see you. Thanks for coming here this morning. I wanted to echo some of your comments for everyone here. I came into the Liberty Movement in 2007 with one call. And
Could you speak up, sir?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Really?
Yeah, please, speak up.
The roof mic. So I came into the Liberty Movement around 2007 with Ron Paul, and I came out of entrepreneurship and business development and became an activist. And now I've gone back into business development. Teaching the Liberty Movement how we can live just like Luke is telling us here. We can become frugal, we can become people that live modestly, and it's amazing how much freedom that gives us. I shut down my company in Boulder about a year ago. 3 months ago, started living out of my car, just traveling around the whole country during the winter. I live most of the time in Boulder, Colorado. I guess I'm still the official Ron Paul person in Boulder, but now that I've moved back into business development, teaching libertarians how to create income, how to be free from their jobs, how they can get out and pursue the interests they have in life. There's something that I've seen in this. Think of the time when you've seen somebody who's famous, like a comedian, an actor, mention anything remotely libertarian-ish. We stick it up on a meme and we promote it all over the internet everywhere. And that one person gets more airplay than almost any other activist full-time working hardcore in the Liberty Movement. And what does that tell us? That in our jobs, in whatever we're doing in life, we need to be standing up for liberty. We need to be the cause of liberty wherever we are. We don't have to be activists coming out and being a speaker like Luke. We don't have to be a journalist like Luke. We don't have to be creating amazing revolution logos. We can actually be in our jobs, fulfilling the cause of liberty right where we are. And so I just want to echo the comments that Luke has. You know, I mean, there's a few older people here, and that doesn't mean a whole lot. You know, age is not a limiting factor anymore. You know, we live so much longer than we ever have. We have the power of the internet, and some of us are going to just start living our damn lives and stop worrying so much about showing up to caucus meetings and things. Now, those are great, don't stop doing that, but that's not what life is all about. And we've got to start living our lives, or we're going to get to the end of our lives and we're going to be so filled of regret, having spent a whole life in activism, realize, what the F was all that for? What did I achieve in all that? You've got to live your life. You've got to find what you're passionate about. And so many of us, we shut our passions down. We don't care anymore. We start focusing on other things, and those things are important, don't get me wrong. But what's more important is where our hearts desire. Well, what do we want to do when we were younger? What do we want to do when we're 18 and 20 years old? Well, just because we're 40 or 50 or 60 doesn't mean we can't do some of those things. So I just want to encourage you, take a look at what you're really doing and look at how you can achieve those things. Don't let life pass by. Thanks.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, many people have different understandings of success. To me, success is all about happiness. If you're happy, you are successful no matter what happens. Now, you know, we all have a choice, no matter how old you are, to always take control and always to do what you want, because it's all within us to do it. And a lot of people fear struggle. A lot of people fear pain. But ultimately, you have a choice. Are you going to have struggle and pain going towards success? Or are you going to have struggle and pain with dealing with doubt of not being able to do something? And I would rather have that pain and struggle of success any day over that doubt of not being able to do what I want to do.
No, I was just going to say, basically, most people in their lives go through struggle. I can talk loud enough. They go through that naturally, no matter what life brings them. You know, people go through fear and pain and being afraid. It's all in, kind of just reiterating what you said, it's all in how you react to it and then put those actions forward. You can just dumb yourself down and not do anything about it, or you can use that fear and whatever and use that darkness to bring light forward.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to ask you that they don't know, recently you went to Venezuela, and I'd like to know the reasons you went to Venezuela. What did you expect in Venezuela? What did you see in Venezuela? What do you think the causes of Venezuela? Because this is Venezuela for years going on. A lot of people looking at, what was it, Chavez? Is that, you know, Chavez, their hero, man. I mean, you know, we got a lot of people that are going, this is the way it ought to be done. And I just need to know from your boots on the ground what happened.
That's a whole nother talk. And
Yeah.
I can get for an hour. But in short, we decided to go to Venezuela because of just the outrageous news articles that have been coming out from that country. There's news articles saying now that people are, eating dogs, rats, and mouses because they can't survive. There's all this information about just this hyperinflation and this total misery and suffering that the people in Venezuela are going through. And of course, as a real journalist, I don't believe anything until I see it myself. So me and Jeff Berwick decided to go down there. It was a profound experience, to say the least. The moment we got in, they were cleaning up a crime scene at the airport. The airport is one of the most violent areas in Venezuela. Venezuela is the murder capital of the world. So literally 5 hours before I got out of the airport, just even out of the doors of the airport, 5 hours before, an Egyptian tourist walked out and he was mugged and murdered right in front of the airport. Venezuelan government, to me, is completely backwards. They have set their priorities towards social justice, towards fighting discrimination, towards fighting smoking, and towards implementing gun-free zones in the murder capital of the world, where, if you go downtown, you could actually see the Tower of David, which is an old 60-story skyscraper that is controlled by criminal organizations, that has people squatting in there, and this is where all the kidnappings happen that the police won't dare even walk into. A criminal organization has one of the biggest skyscrapers in the middle of Caracas, Venezuela. You have to be extremely vigilant, you have to be extremely careful being in that country. CNN decided to go, and I believe they were beat up by the government and had all their camera footage and all of their equipment stolen from them. So as a journalist, as an American citizen, as someone who speaks broken Spanish, as someone with looking physically the way that I do, it was obviously a little worrisome, and I was always watching my back and taking precautions on how to be safe in that situation, which was extremely dangerous because even the locals talk about, oh yeah, when's the next time I'm going to be kidnapped? And kidnappings happen very frequently, especially to foreigners there. It's a shocking place. Our fixer, who was there as a local, he was an anarchist living inside of Venezuela. He was showing us around, and he was always down, and he was always depressed. And I'm kind of the opposite of that, and I try to cheer him up, and nothing worked. And I asked him, what's going on, man? And, everything okay? And he was like, yeah, well, 2 of my best friends were murdered on 2 separate incidences just 6 months ago. This is the life that people face there. This is what they have to deal with. They have to wait in line at ATMs all day to get just a portion of their money, since the government has implemented price controls. They have to rely on the black market. They have to wait all day in line for public transportation or even for basic necessities. Water, electricity are all non-existent in some parts of the town. We went to the roughest kind of favela in that area, and we got a full-on experience of how exactly people live. It was kind of an extremely reckless and extremely stupid thing that I did, being there, to be honest with you. But I'm happy I did it because of what I saw, because of what I learned, because of the experience in general. It was something that shocked me to my core, to understanding how bad things really could get. Literally, we arrived at the airport, we met some random guy, I gave him $100 bill, and with the black market, he asked for my book bag, took off my book bag, and he filled it up with a stack of cash this high from this low. And then walking around with that money in the murder capital of the world is not really wise. You could, if you go there with US dollars, you could live like a millionaire, but you have to watch your back every 5 seconds to make sure you either don't draw attention to yourself, or you are not going to be the victim of a government or a criminal that could get you at any moment in time. And the thing that perplexed me, I could just keep going on and on about what I saw there, but one of the things that really perplexed me is that, you know, you walk into a business and the whole wall is covered with government permits and government regulations. There's signs in every business which are legally mandated to be there that say you can't have a gun here and you can't smoke anywhere near this area. So there's no private security guards. Private security guards can't own guns in Venezuela, so the criminals are able to run amok. And the thing that they focus on is smoking. So, you know, me and Jeff Berwick, who, you know, smoke cigarettes sometimes, we're outside of a building, outside of one of the best hotels in Caracas, and they're like, oh, no, you can't be by the door here. You have to go out into the street late at night. But he says, don't do it. You're going to get robbed, but you can't smoke here because they literally have government agents spending government resources, walking around, making sure people have all of their permits, making sure people aren't smoking, and make sure there's no private security with a gun. After one late night, me and Jeff had like a mutual Tinder match. We were hanging out with some Tinder matches, which is a date. We were on a date, and we were walking from one place to another place late at night from a car that we were dropped off. And our, you know, Tinder date sees a person down the street. She literally freaks out, panics, and like starts to run away. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's gonna happen here? And it's just a regular guy walking down the street. That's how paranoid, that's how full of fear everyone is down there. We you know, went around a bunch of places all empty. We walked back into the hotel room, into the hotel front entrance, and the hotel front entrance is covered with the baggage carriers. What are those things called that you...
Baggage carriers.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Trolleys. Like those push carts, those push baggage carts. They're littered at the front door of this hotel. And then we're like, what the hell? Well, like, what the hell happened here? We have to push through the door to push that cart out of the way. And then they had the hotel set up where with the lobby, they had 2 different rooms behind the lobby and a doorway that looked directly at the front. And literally, I just saw someone look into the doorway and then quickly close the door, and the whole hotel is isolated. No one's in there because they can't have security guards. They rely on baggage carriers in front of the door for their security. And one guy in the back of the hotel who literally is 3 doors behind, closes the door, and freaks out every time he sees somebody. That's literally the reality that people face in Venezuela.
Why?
Right.
That's a great question. Some people put fault on Chavez. Some people put fault on the U.S. State Department and U.S. aid. I think it's a combination of factors. I think the United States definitely has not helped with its movement to put sanctions on and to label Venezuela a terrorist state. I think that they have not been working together, but also sabotaging them. There's still a strong support for Chavez within the government. Obviously, Chavez passed away, and his predecessor is having a hard time because he's not as charismatic, he's not as a good leader as Chavez was. But obviously, a combination of socialistic policies, a combination of the oil price dropping globally, a combination of the United States also pushing pressure down on the government, all led to this situation. It can't be kind of pinpointed on one factor, to be honest, as a fair and honest reporter, but it's a combination of factors that created this perfect storm of hyperinflation and just an utter destruction of society and an utter collapse of Venezuela, which we saw firsthand. I'm sorry, who was next? Somebody in the back.
It just seems like, as bad as you're describing this, how does the system there have any legitimacy at all? How does the system there have any legitimacy at all in the minds of the people that are oppressed by it?
That's a great question.
And why do they put up with it?
it's very difficult in Venezuela because the crime organizations and the gangs are closely related to government, and a lot of times they well, usually worldwide they are, but especially in Venezuela, a lot of the strong Chavez supporters, a lot of the people who are intergrained with the government are actually outside criminal elements who use force and violence to kind of quail any uprisings. And then there has been a lot of violence on both sides in Venezuela, with people having shootouts in the middle of the street during protests, with grenades being thrown at protesters, with people dying in the streets who were protesting. So I think once you take away so much from the people, they kind of lost hope. But again, it's an extremely unpredictable and extremely hard to really pinpoint exactly why there's not this kind of mass movement against it. I would point a significant portion of that towards the violence that's used against any of those people rebelling against it, and also the ingrained kind of Chavez ideology and the Chavez leadership that has been very, very important for a lot of people there. Chavez did make significant progress for a lot of people, obviously leading to a detrimental situation, but he has helped lift a lot of people because Venezuela was in a worse position before. Obviously, it's a lot worse than it, I think, ever has been in that country. But there is a lot of significance with Chavez. His eyes are literally painted everywhere. Mostly every building down there has Chavez's eyes. Every area, especially by the government, is the Chavez area, spray painted everywhere. There's big graffiti everywhere saying "Yankee, go home." That me and Jeff Berwick took pictures with. We were both Yankees there. I can't give you a clear answer. I don't know, but it could happen. It could change at any moment. It's really unpredictable.
Luke, I'm sure you'd agree that over the last 2 or 3 generations, many countries in Latin America have had horrible dictators, and there have been millions of people just disappeared, murdered, and so forth. In many of those countries, specifically countries like Chile and Argentina, in your opinion, what are the lingering social divisions between the folks that supported the dictators and the folks that were the victims of the dictators?
It's very difficult to say because it's such an open-ended, huge question, and there's so many different variables. I think the fact that the United States have been actively involved with putting dictators in South America has affected it dramatically and showed that there was no real support from this from the very beginning. And then power ruled, people took office, people were murdered, people were tortured, especially even in Brazil. There was martial law in Brazil in the 60s and 70s that no one knows about. In Chile, with Kissinger putting in Pinochet, he had to murder hundreds of thousands of people, mainly because the people wouldn't put up with what he was doing. And a lot of people were pacified by that fear. And it still continues. Look at Honduras and how Hillary Clinton has her fingerprint over the coup d'etat in Honduras just a few years ago that had LGBT activists murdered in the middle of the streets, had opposition leaders murdered, had their president leave the country because of the assistance of the U.S. State Department that put in this kind of right-wing government. So I think U.S. intervention has directly affected that relationship between the people who support it and the people who don't support it, because usually people don't support it, and that's why there's been outside help to prop up these people, and they use force and violence mainly as a way to gain control of the government. But again, they topple and they fall all the time as well.
And real quick, so many conservative economists like to use Chile as an example of pro-capitalist economic reforms, despite the fact that it had such an impact upon the population what do you think of these conservative economists throwing up Chile as a great idea without covering the negative aspect?
Yeah, I think you always have to, cover all aspects of it. I think social currency and social life is never really adapted into the cause and effects of a lot of these kind of economic terms that people do throw out there. But you could nitpick all these different countries, and you can make a pitch for anything, whether it's Switzerland or whether it's Norway. People could make arguments for socialism, whether it's Chile and people calling for a right-wing government, or in Brazil the left-wing government. You could pinpoint different aspects, but there's so many variables. But I think there's one ultimate truth when it comes to everything. When the government is small, when the government steps out of the way of the people thrive. And I think even in Chile, the government never stepped out of the way of the people. They stepped on the people. And by doing that, obviously the effects had huge ramifications and cost a lot of human suffering, which sadly a lot of people don't account to or add to in making these kind of grander discussions.
And you're going around and experiencing this, even especially at a young age, you probably got the experience and done and talked about more things than people 3 times your age has ever experienced in their whole life. I'm wondering, what you see in all these different cultures and what's coming. What do you see as kind of predictive in your mind of where we're going, what's happening, why, and how, and by whom?
That was a loaded question.
In 2 minutes.
Start now.
Give me a second. Meeting people all over the world, talking to them, seeing how they live. There's so many differences that, of course, come up, whether it's food, tradition, culture, religion. Obviously, you always are affected by those differences, and you learn to appreciate the different things in life. But ultimately, the one thing that bonds us is that we all just want to be happy, peaceful human beings. We all want the same things in life, and that's a good, simple, honest life without hurting anyone else. I think with the progression of technology, with the progression of the internet, we're all realizing we're all pretty much the same. We all want the same things, and it's only a few buttholes on the top who are really manipulating us emotionally, making us fight each other and dividing and conquering us, and when in reality we're being all screwed over by the same person upstairs, and that same person upstairs needs to be dealt with. And I see an awakening that people are just utterly sick and tired of politics. They're sick and tired of government, and it still has a long ways to go, but I think ultimately we will progress to a state of full independence, of full sovereignty, of full freedom within individuals, within themselves, rising up, moving away, and living an ultimately free, amazing life. I see that happening. I believe it will. I'm a pure optimist on this. I see nothing but love and just beautiful humans every time I look at somebody in the eyes, and never had a bad experience, to be honest with you. And even if they are bad, there's something to learn from it.
I've got a question of what you might have encountered, hopefully, that you could share in your various journeys and travels through all the sociological sectors of humanity. And it comes from a thought that I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to develop right now the beginning of the articulation of what I call the default world, the default alliance, or the default constitution. In other words, how do we step out of the concerns of the de jure, or the so-called legal system, and all the formal institutionalized politics, and how do the people, through the tools of the new technology, the internet, create a way to define the default reality that we intend to have, and will bring down the de jure system.
So you're just asking for a solution.
I'm asking if you've encountered people
Blockchain.
talking this way. I'm trying to find people that I can align with.
Yeah.
Stop trying. Stop trying. That'll be your first step.
I say just do it. Follow your principles. Everyone has a different answer. Everyone has a different solution. Everyone will meet different people in this life and get different bits of information and different past experiences that will help them lead a more freer, more independent life. Me, I just keep moving all the time, so no one could actually stop me or get me. I don't even know where I'm going after this, to be honest with you. So it would be very hard for someone to even like track me or keep track of me because I don't even know what I'm doing a lot of the times.
Well, Google knows.
I'll follow you.
Yeah.
I'll ask this question
But that's a
again.
very personal question, yeah.
When you encounter people like Rockefeller or the Rothschilds or whatever, do you see the evil around them? I mean, do they physically exude a presence that's different than the average person, or are they just another person?
It could be a combination of things, but yes, 100%, I do. It could be the fact that all the attention is centered around them in a room. I mean, when Kissinger walks around or is in his wheelchair around Bilderberg, you see all of the top presidents of all these corporations, the prime ministers, and all these bigwigs literally move out of his way and always stay away from him and always be extremely respectful of him. So that plays true whenever you go to a public event. There's always people kissing his butt all the time. For instance, people are like, "Oh my God, Kissinger!" I have this on video. Just like a woman walking up to Kissinger, "Everyone loves you here. You're so famous. You're so popular." This is what he has to do, and all the energy and all the people are centered around him and this kind of grand illusion of grandeur of how great and amazing these people are. So that could be one factor that makes me feel it, but you do feel kind of this weird, strong, forceful, but also kind of primitive energy that is primarily focused off fear, and then that kind of translates more when you look them in the eyes and you kind of, instead of kissing their ass, you kick their ass with a hard question, and that shock comes up upon them. You look in their eyes, and they have nothing to do but to respond with anger and hatred. Kissinger has called me a number of names. I have confronted him 5 times. He has called me a horrible human being. He has called me an asshole sometimes. I didn't catch that on tape once. I wish I did. Called me a coward. Called me all these things when I'm walking up to him and asking him legitimate questions. Acting out of anger, which is ultimately coming from fear, coming from that very low energy. There's also released letters showing Kissinger's fear with being indicted over putting Pinochet in power when he was talking to his lawyer. So obviously fear is very strong within them. So it's a very low, dense, kind of dark, primitive energy that you do feel when you do interact with these individuals. But as long as you keep your energy good, your energy clean, and you're able to make eye contact with them, you're able to shift. You're able to actually, whenever I do these competitions, I feel so empowered. I feel amazing. I feel great. It's like skydiving. It's a huge rush of adrenaline and energy, and it feels fantastic.
Okay, we're going to take this last question. Then I'll ask you to do sum up, and then Adam will give him 5 minutes to do his spiel.
Have you crossed paths with Trump at all, or any interviews?
Yes, and then I failed miserably at even getting to him. I talked to him. I asked him one question that he just chose to ignore. I asked him, would he stand with the 9/11 victims' family members and call for a new 9/11 investigation if he was president? He looked me in the eyes, and then he quickly turned away. But I also wasn't on top of my game that time. I've been to many of his conferences, a lot of times on the news you see Trump giving a huge press conference after making an announcement. And all the freaking events that I've been at, I'm always there early, always not even using the restroom because I want that kind of like 3rd row, 2nd row, or even 1st row seat to have my hand up whenever he's doing that. And every time I've been at every press conference of Donald Trump, he has never done a press conference. He always just does a speech and then leaves, which.
And his energy, what's his energy like? You talked about that earlier.
It's very hard to determine. Kissinger I know very well because we met 5 times and had very close encounters together. When there's like a lot of other journalists around, when he's walking around doing all these interviews, it's very, very hard to gauge and to really get a fair perspective to even mention, to be honest with you. But I did ask him that question. I had a fever. I was just in a car accident. I was like, I just pushed through. If I believe in something, I'm going to do it. Literally, I had a car accident, flew out the same day, got a shock of my body, had a fever, still decided to go. Went up to Trump, asked him this question. I could have kept peppering him. I could have kept asking him, but my body physically shut down. I literally collapsed and couldn't do it well. But I will get him. I will talk to him. I will do it very soon. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I just know I will.
Go ahead and give us sum up, please.
I don't know if there is a sum up. Life is short. Live it to the fullest. Live your life like it could be your last day on this earth, because it could be. And just be free and be happy. And understand that the biggest prison that you put yourself in is the one that you put in your mind. Thank you.
You guys got a rare treat. A lot of people, now you get to hang and ask them the questions off the camera. He goes, so is this presentation going to be on video? So you can get the real story. Another people that are inspirations to each other, I'm sure. Adam Kokesh has become good friends with Luke, and they are often at the same events, and they have different takes on different things. But and a lot of times they're covering each other, what each other's doing a lot of times. Adam has taken it upon himself to go ahead and live this example of no fear. We're just gonna do it. Just do it. Well, he got some property here in Arizona and he's doing it. Well, it didn't take very long for the man sent him a letter, you're not allowed to do it. So we're going to hear about that and follow the progression. And we knew that Adam and Macy and friends, Alma and Brian are up there. And we knew that there was going to be a confrontation with the man that won't leave you alone. Well, how do we deal with that? What do we learn from it? What's the price of education for this kind of stuff? What's really going on? A lot of us have been doing this for a long time, and you can see a pattern. You're to be put into a sea container stacked on top of your transportation paid by, and if you wanted to leave the city, we'll give you a permit. I mean, this mindset of putting you on the grid and being it, because if you're not in control, you're out of control. As if that was a bad thing. Adam Kokesh.
I hope I don't need 5 minutes to tell you that free people don't ask permission. And there are certain things at this point that we're doing in our, I think I can publicly refer to it as a homestead safely. We'll find out if I get a nasty email after this video is posted or something, or we find out that we've triggered another little, I don't know, it's almost like trigger warning for bureaucrats, right? Watch out, people are being free here in Arizona. And if you stick your head up, you might get whacked down. And we've been experiencing our share of that with zoning people in Yavapai County's government. It's hard to say that word sometimes when you want to say so many other words about specific people that now have a specific presence in your life. But Mark Stevens has been incredibly helpful with that, and I think we've got to a point where we're comfortable at least doing what we need to do. We can't talk about everything that's going on there publicly, obviously, but if you want to get involved, if you want to help out, please come talk to me or my amazing fiance, Macy. You put your hand up, please, baby. About what we have going on, striving to live maximally by these values. And while Luke presents an amazing way of doing it in an ungrounded way, in a way that's traveling and really experiencing the world, and I got an unfortunate share of that in the military, and I think that was enough to make me want to seek a little more grounding in my life after now living on the road in a trailer for 2 years, traveling, promoting our book. And what we're striving to create is a homestead where we have complete food and energy independence and the kind of community that we all fantasize about. You know, and when you wake up to this message, it can't just be about being right about everything. It has to be about living differently as a result of this understanding. And it seems like now, especially in the age of the internet, and it's unfortunate that we can't communicate at the moment as freely as we'd like to about what's going on, but that there will be a lot of opportunities. And I think Ernie wants me to come up here and act like I'm some kind of expert on this, but I'm just figuring out as I go, and I'm having a really good time doing it. And I know that what really makes it possible, and I know for the work that Ernie does and that Luke does and that so many of you do as activists, because there are other activists backing you up. There's a community of freedom activists who care about this. And we live in a very, very exciting time where humanity is going through an incredible turning point. Really, I think the tipping point of a mass awakening is right before us right now. And you see it in everything around us and how people react and how easy it is now to wake people up. And so for my part in that, and Ernie knows I'm only here to promote my book anyway. It's free. It's free in every digital format possible. We have free books here for free people, free stickers, free buttons, and we want to provide a tool for empowering you to grow that community and bring more people in. So that's my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, Frank's passing around the hat for, you know, give me money.
Q&A?
I'll take questions if Ernie's scheduled. But then you have to give me a refund for my breakfast, right? Isn't that how it works?
Hell no! You gotta pay me extra for letting me promote your book. Don't even try with me, man. Go.
Adam, are you still voting? If so, are you supporting the candidates such as maybe Gary Johnson?
I'm a felon, so I am. I can absolve myself from that.
He's free.
Yeah.
What do you think of Terry McAuliffe's move to restore the voting rights to 200,000 felons in Virginia?
I think that's a really crass political ploy in and of itself, but it's a good sign that that's the crass political ploy that they're choosing now, is that to maintain the farce of democracy, they have to re-enfranchise people because, oh, whoops, we made too many felons.
Good.
But I am looking forward to supporting, I mean, I'll get political for a second here. I'm speaking at the Libertarian National Convention, and I believe that Austin Peterson is going to get to be the kingmaker in a tightly contested race between Johnson and McAfee. And right now I'm leading McAfee. I love all three of those guys. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. But I want to make sure that the nominee of the Libertarian Party this year is the strongest person who's going to take advantage of this opportunity. And every year, it's a better opportunity. Every year, they put forward the worst candidates. And my theory about Trump is that Clinton engineered the whole thing because she couldn't find, like, it was like, who can we get that we can make the most hated person who can get the Republican nomination? You know, and that in and of itself, just like, this is, every year, it's the most important election of your lifetime, so you better, but really, from the libertarian perspective, every cycle, the super class, the elites, the string pullers, their grasp on power weakens. In order to maintain the racket, they have to go to more desperate measures. They have to let the criminals vote now, you know, at least in Virginia, maybe. And that we have gone through this beautiful democratic process and found the two worst people in America we could possibly have in charge of this government as the likely nominees of both major parties. Like, wow. So I really hope that that the Libertarian Party is in a position, you know, whether or not, whatever your perspective on the system is, and this is the thing that I keep coming back to. That is like my one thing, and I know because I'm talking to a crowd of people who, I mean, I know most of you, I've met most of you at some point here at Ernie's, people who get it, and get it, you know, that's you know, waking up, very subjective terms, but the one thing that we can't get away from, that if we want to make the change that we want to see in the world, is that we have to grow this community. We have to bring people in. We have to share this message. We have to go talk to normal people now. as you've heard me say in the past. For all of us who are the nerdy, INTJ, rational, intellectual types, the victims of the system, the outcasts, the misfits, the people who have felt the pain of statism. Now we need to expand this concentric circle, and this is my attempt at that. This is my attempt at the providing the tool that's going to be the most effective for that. But my challenge every time I talk to people, or I'm interacting with people on social media or just by email, is to encourage them to get out and talk to more people. And it's not about making YouTube videos necessarily. It's not about being a keyboard warrior. But we can make, people are going, where are the pockets of freedom in America? Where are the little communities of freedom? Like, well, hey, if you wake up the 5 people around you, have you talked to your family yet? And for you people here, I know this is really preaching to the choir, but I hope that, again, when I'm looking at the presidential election, that's what I'm seeing is this is an opportunity to, for lack of a better term, wake people up, but reach more people, grow the community, and share what you're about. And we come together in these groups to pat each other on the back about how right we are about everything. And, you see the same faces, right? And there are, I think, there's a growing number of people who are like Luke is doing, as an activist, getting out and making the message relevant to a whole different group of people and bringing people in with that. And I would just, repeat that challenge, that find what is the most effective way for you to wake people up. I'd be honored if this has some role in that. But if it's talking to people in your family, at work, if it's, sticking flyers and or business cards in the credit card slots and gas stations, or whatever it is, but you have to reach people on an individual level and connect with them in order to get them to embrace a different worldview, and that's what this is about. Okay, that's really my
Hey, Ernie, can I have a few minutes?
I'm just going to say something really quick. Okay, well, you guys think about that. So basically, I see it as planting seeds. Every seed you plant is just going to expand and grow more and more and more. And you had said something about where you fit in and all this stuff. And Luke had mentioned technology. And right now, we need to utilize that as best as possible, in my opinion. I've had people reach out to me, and I'm a nobody, but I have a little page going on Facebook, and a Syrian boy contacted me because that was the only person that he had direction towards. And he's like, this is the end, I'm going to be bombed. This was back in 2013, the summer. But I just want you guys to know that it's not us. It's our governments, and it's your governments that are trying to divide us and everything. So really it is on that personal level. If you can talk to people and just plant seeds, and I know there's a lot of people that are older here as well, really encourage the younger generations. The kids and their kids and grandchildren and everything, to really go out there and spread the message, because that's how it goes. I
want to make sure people understand, this is just, Adam and Luke and Freedom's Phoenix and our shows and so on, are just an example of a lot of the tools available for you. We're finishing up, you'll see the Freedom's Phoenix cover. This is the new cover of the new newspaper that's coming out next week. And we have a lot of international writers. I have people from Europe and Africa and Latin America and so on. And it's going to be at the Libertarian National Convention in all the 1,200 convention bags. So I didn't want to have to go. I'll just have my newspaper there. So it was to inspire them that this is a worldwide thing. This is a generational thing. Those of you that have been doing Luke Travels and subscribers and support that Adam gets, and the people that we've been able to talk with, and I travel out of the country to speak and such. This is a worldwide revolution, a lovolution between the ears. All of this stuff, all the government, we're going to have them and do and talk and history and back and why and what for, and they made me do it or wouldn't let me do it or do it. It all comes down to just public opinion. You get what you want. It's them trying to make you want what they want to give you, And I'm going, now what if I just want to be left alone? If you can get at the core fundamental of just somebody getting a splinter in their mind, where Luke goes to Trump and says, so are you going to stand with the 9/11 victims for a new investigation? I don't know how he's going to pull that sliver from his cortex. Right. These kind of things accumulate. they have an impact. And you have an entire country asking questions at a time where exactly what happened before the financial system is happening again right now. I mean, I don't know if you guys see it. I mean, all you got to do is drive and look at the strip malls, and they're half empty. The malls are shutting down. They're turning them into senior citizen homes. Think I'm kidding? Metro Center is going to be a senior citizen home. You know? So I'm going, it's turning into Venezuela for the same reasons. No, but if they organized it right, there is no organizing it right. There is no plan for me. It's for me to have my own plan. That's what the promise was. It always is the promise. Even when they take over, they're promising how there's going to be 2 chickens in every pot and you get to do what you want and freedom and peace and prosperity and all this stuff. But they never say, because we're going to let you do it yourself. They never say that. Because that takes away their power, their control, their central plan for you. And it gets even worse when they deal with your children. And I'm so certain. A lot of times I go, how did you know this? And how did you know? I'm like, how the hell did you not know? This is so obvious what's coming. But I feel that for the first time in my life, that I'm glad that I'm relatively healthy. You know, I feel, you know, like I'm going to be able to be part of my grandchildren's life, maybe even my great-grandchildren. But it only changed in the last 5-6 years, changing my diet, juicing, doing other things that, you know, the different supplements of just not eating certain things, of doing, I go over there and I see a donut and I think it was Lance. Yeah, you're right, damn it, you know. So you guys are helping me. But the thing is that I just want to have my grandchildren have a chance to build on the foundation that we're doing right now of just changing public opinion, that it's okay to advocate for freedom. It's okay to express your opinion. It's okay to not vote. It's okay to choose another alternative. It's okay to highlight when they're being destructive of the promise that they gave you under the Constitution that they would never blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, you're still voting? It doesn't matter to me. I mean, we're having entertainment. I want to give you one, some of you already know, a lot of you don't know, that I'll give you the quick version. The Democrats came to me and Barry, and we talked to him and sent him off. They talked to Charles Goyette, they talked to Mark Victor, they talked to Judge Buttrick, and the bottom line is the Democrats are so excited about libertarians running this election, but they changed the laws, the Republicans did, to make sure that that was difficult. So most libertarians say, we don't care anymore. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and us being up doesn't make any difference. You know, the government's going to be like a freaking stampeding with tasers the entire American population towards libertarianism. We'll just stand aside and let it happen. Well, what happened was they started to realize that John McCain is the most vulnerable in losing his seat in the Republican Party in the U.S. Senate.
Yes.
He's in the top 10,
Yes.
but when a libertarian is in that race, he becomes like top. So they came to us and they want us to run a campaign. They'll fund the petition signatures. They'll fund the campaign. They'll help with fundraising. They'll set up web pages. Here's our attorneys, and you have attorney-client privilege. Pinky swear he won't tell us anything. You know, this kind of crap. So we've been in negotiations for a few weeks on this.
Good.
Over the last 2 days, the person most excited about doing it and demanding the least amount of stuff on their side, I'm like, yeah, as soon as you get $500,000, you let me know and I'll think about it. You know, well, we're thinking about it, you know. Frank Tamburri, Trump Report.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like we will find out in the next couple of days so that we can have it in the newspaper, go into the national convention to say in Arizona we're no compromise. Totally no compromise. We are not compromising. Hardcore libertarians. It always comes out of Arizona. And we got Democrats paying for our campaign. How about y'all? It's because of that stance that we have credibility. It's because of that tactic that we can pull the most from McCain. And we told him, look, that doesn't mean we're not going to jump all over whoever the Democrat is. I don't care. You know, it's going to be upon the pox on the system. But we know that they've done this before. In the last 2 election cycles, they spent tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you guys go ahead and just take it back a little bit further. They've done tens of thousands of dollars that they spent in mailings to congressional races. Pal Gamble, they believe that a black conservative mayor from Paradise Valley, that's all about surveillance cameras and cactuses for everybody, that he could beat a bisexual communist, Democrat, Kirsten Sinema. That's we got our black conservative against the progressive, bisexual, whatever the heck. So but then here comes the libertarian. A pox in all your houses. You guys are still voting. Make sure it counts. Keep it. This is the big. He gets on national television doing this. He was in the statewide debates. He gets up there, gets the most votes for federal races in the country, and they want to know why. Well, he told them to not vote. Same thing happened to me in 2004 running against McCain. How did you do so well? Why? Because I told people to not vote. They don't want you speaking at their convention then. So this is what the Democrats know. They embrace it. So what do? These mailings are going, yeah, well, this Republican says he's against Obamacare. Well, he's not really. Vote for the Libertarian. He really is. While they're advocating for Obamacare. All this dark money and the big checks, and it's going to be millions of dollars that they just spent. Money finds its way to power and influence. I don't give a crap what law you pass. I ran against McCain during McCain-Feingold, and I see billboards everywhere paid for by Fred. This is what, if you want to play, let's play. So when we go to do the filing, Secretary of State's office, the Democrats are standing right there. That's the deal that I made, that we would support this, and the conditions I told Frank to make sure that was part of it. That when we do this, they're standing right there and totally open about it. They're paying so we can say a pox on everybody. Peace out. Let's rock. Good. Okay. So here it comes. The number one national, it's always, why is it always Arizona? And I'm telling you, from my experience for over 25 years of doing this, it is because a pure, leave me alonist message is popular to everyone. And anyone that it's not, they got another agenda. They're wanting to live on your labors. So this is where it's those that just want to be left alone and those that just won't leave them alone. It's no more complicated than that. So we're looking at an opportunity that those of you that are older, those of you that have a little bit of resources, those of you who got a couple of $100 here and there, it is everything at the right time to these activists. It is, buy a bunch of Adam's books to use as just giveaways. You give him $1 a book, man, he'll freaking, love you a long time, I'm sure. So this is like, distribution. When we do the paper, I tell you, this is my question. Last time we did the newspaper, we did 10,000 copies. They went pretty fast. And we have some, I only really need about 5,000. To do what I want to do. If you guys want more, you want to, like, here, I need a chunk and make sure you got more and pass out for a while and do it. It'll be a nice international issue. Fine, let me know. Other than that, I'm probably just going to do 5,000. That's all I need to go to these different festivals. And, it's going to Africa and some in Europe and different festivals in the South Pacific. And so I already know where they're going. So I'm like, there's like 3,000, 4,000 done right there. Now some extra to do whatever. Want more? You guys let me know. It'd be like another $400 or something for another 5,000 or something. I mean, it's not that much. But the point is that if we don't have you supporting the crazies, the outliers, the ones that are the most extreme, that are in the face of these people, if you're not supporting them, nobody else is doing it. Who the hell else is doing it? In this edition, you're going to see that we've been working for a year and a half to get Freedom's Phoenix all updated and upgraded and so on for the new decentralized internets. It's just like we're right here. Within a few years, for sure, it may be by the end of this year. When that happens, when you cannot censor data, when you can get paid in cryptocurrencies for being a whistleblower, when you can put up video that can never go away and be uncensored, when you can have grandma gets on the web and it has a Mozilla plugin that she can go to the other web without even knowing the difference or access a file that has, it's all this BitTorrent and all this secret, all this stuff that, the deep web and the people, when it's just available, that's the way the web is, their power just goes away. It's over. It's already over. What now? Freedom's the answer. What's the question? Oh, yeah. And to put a wet blanket on all of today, I'm going to time you. 2 minutes, Patchwin.
Thank you, folks, very much. I appreciate it. Hey, I brought a new face along today. My good friend, Tom Durkin, another token lefty like me. Anyway, 2 months ago, Dave Hodges gave a very interesting presentation right here. A couple things that he said were just absolutely ridiculous, and I'm here to refute just one of them.
Use the microphone.
He said that approximately 95% of the Mideast refugees coming to Europe look like healthy young men able to go out and play soccer, possibly become terrorists. Well, that's absolute balderdash. The real truth is, and this comes
36%?
from factcheck.org, posted November the 23rd last year. Ted Cruz said that 77% of the refugees pouring into Europe right now are young males. Well, that's ridiculous. The actual number was 4.2 million refugees, and only 62% of them were men. The State Department, according to the State Department, regarding Syrian refugees coming into America, 67% of those refugees that were recommended to America, that doesn't mean they're going to be accepted, but 66% of the refugees recommended to America were children under the age of 12 and women. Not 95% young soccer playing men who are going to become terrorists. Thank you very much.
Only 33% were men.
If you can believe the
We don't deal. I hate dealing in numbers and percentages. I got to make this point.
They're all made up anyway.
Right. When you run for office, I always encourage, and this is one, some of the advice that I'm giving Frank. He gives out percentages, and I go, never give a percentage or a number. The other guy is going to come up and say, "Nuh-uh, it's this number," and then you're arguing over the number. And I'm going, the number does not matter to me. It's the principle. They'll say, there was never 6 million Jews gassed. There was only blah, 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 1,000. And I'm going, how many did it need to be? I mean, I'm wondering, these kinds of things, I don't put a lot of stock in them. That's why I always deal in principle. And I just want you guys to be inspired by everything that we do and the new features that are coming on Freedom's Phoenix. We haven't promoted it as because it wasn't ready to be the kind of tool. I was afraid it would cause more trouble than it was worth. If you were to use Freedom's Phoenix as a weapon, a tool to use and send links and expand, and even all the tools were there, it would make you probably the target for a lot of things, and I just wanted it to be to where you could maintain your anonymity. I am not, and I'm totally open out now, I never encrypt anything. They want to know the agents here, I don't know which one to use the agent of what, whatever. They probably got a camera somewhere, I don't care, all right? They have to change the agents every couple of weeks because we keep convincing them. I mean, it doesn't matter. So the thing is that I'm looking at, and you see that with Luke and Adam and a lot of things, there's always the officer going, "Yeah, man, what's up?" And we've had these on a regular basis that we deal with too. I am encouraged by the mere one observation is that people are starting to see that they're being a prison built, as Luke was telling you, in their own minds. Once I am comfortable that we can make anonymous or open, secure, never go away data, it's not going to be deleted from, and you can't talk about that, and they defunded your thing. You mentioned Hillary, if we don't like it. Whenever we can get around that, that's the next wave that we thought in the early 90s as young activists like these guys, that's where the internet was going, and then they went to the World Wide Web. It was totally different. What we're hoping to happen is a continuation of what almost happened in the early 90s, and it's coming. When it does, I don't think you guys are going to understand how the next generations will not have bricks added to the wall in their cortex. They are going to break, and it's going to happen very fast. Economics is going to start demonstrating the need for it. Things like blockchain technology and decentralized internet is going to provide the tools, and it's going to happen much faster than I think you realize. And all the people that are invested in dollars, stock market, 401ks, my IRA, the ETF, have kind of sort of, they waved some silver at it. I mean, all this stuff is going to go away, and it's gone now. If you're not thinking in a whole other way in the infrastructure of dealing with each other, freedom, there's an app for that. If you're not thinking that the answer is always yes, it's always yes. It may be how much or how long, but it's always yes. We're going to space, and government's not invited. We had the third landing and second barge landing out in the ocean in the first stage of Falcon 9 just a couple of days ago at night, way out in the Atlantic. Now $60 million is saved in every space shot. 60 million. Now went down to 300,000 in kerosene and oxygen. This is going to change everything. They're looking to put Tesla now, or Elon Musk, SpaceX, has announced that they're looking to put a landing on Mars in 2018. China and NASA, we're going to be by 2030, pinky swear. I'm so not waiting on you guys. They had the new Model 3 Tesla electric car, 400,000 pre-orders in a few days. It's well over 500,000 now. They are looking to up their production. The world is going to be totally different. Where are you going to be? My presentation at PortFest into June is going to be, well, I'm so optimistic. Still, third time I've done this over the years, and this one I'm going to blow these kids away. They have no freaking idea. I could show you some stuff. I just wait for the video because, I mean, damn, I'm even surprised. And my grandchildren grow up knowing this. They don't know any different. We're trying to keep the barriers out of their heads. To have my first grade granddaughter come up to me and go, I don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Teacher's in the back of the room. But then some of the kids, because I'm a student of the planet, you know, one of the kids narked on me and the teacher's in the front of the room now. And I go, well, do you say the pledge? If I don't, I have to sit on the bench during recess.
Oh.
John Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute goes, I got case law. But, you know, I don't really care because I just want her to understand. You know, I'm not out to fix everybody. I just want to inspire Generation Next. You guys can help. Please take the time to talk to Luke. You know, privately, you know, converse with Adam. You know, find out what's going on up there. You know, I'm sure that there's times it's like they're going up there tomorrow. He's leaving today. Luke's going to go up, borrow one of the Monteros, go up to the land tomorrow, do some video, kind of just inspiration. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to try and kill the inspiration. There's a cease and desist order from the government, and we saw on YouTube that said, you're thinking about being free on your land, and you're so freaking not allowed. Okay, can you say that on tape? We need to learn. And we are not going to be inspired. We're not going to learn. We're not going to understand the battle until people get on the front line and do this and document it. Who supports them? Hopefully you. Goodies. All right, those of you got your tickets, get them out. Here comes Frank.
Okay. Here comes Frank. If something changes, I'll give you my number.
All right, this is the drawing for the books. Back there on the chest of the books are the drawing. There are also some freedom manuals there. I don't know whether are they giveaways or what. Are those freedom book giveaways or what?
We have a question. We have a question.
Just take free.
Okay, so take a look at them, see what you want. Okay, first chance at books. Let me put my glasses on. I can't see a damn thing. How about 8084? 8084. Who's got ticket 8084?
It says 80.
Well, we'll take the...
Do we have a winner?
It is 8084. You're killing me, man.
There you go. Got one. Got it.
Okay.
We'll give him a chance to get out there.
Hurry up, I want to beat him down to the
Just the last one.
All right. He's on his way.
Oh, come on, Frank. Come on.
Oh, Pat, you're too anxious. 8090. 8090.
Keith.
Way out there. Okay. If you can't find anything laid out, there's a couple bags right there. You can go through those. If there's a problem with what's there.
I'm a winner.
You're a winner. Hey. Okay. Go get a book.
Okay. Now, we're at third place.
Got that one taken care of. One more here. 8086. 8086. I don't hear any big noises anywhere.
Do we have a winner?
8086.
Going once. Going twice.
Yeah. Right there beside the tickets is a, looks like a cigarette case with some other tickets in it. We'll take a look at that one.
866.
8086.
No, wait a minute, I had it upside down. That's amazing. It's a bunch of 9s and 6s and 0s and 8s. Hell, I don't even know which way I'm supposed to look at that.
8096. 8096.
Mike, yay!
Hey, here we go. And did you have a good time today?
Yeah.
Hey. We'll see you next month, first Saturday in the month. And we'll do it all over again. Thank you for coming.
If I get a book, what do I do with that?